legacy of Sylvester Turner. The House native was 70 years old and served 2 terms as our city's mayor. He was taken to a hospital in Washington, D.C. last night and later died at his home. Governor Abbott has ordered all flags be flown at half-staff through Saturday in honor of Turner.
And perhaps one of the congressman's final tweets was during President Donald Trump's speech to Congress last night. He posted this video to X, protesting the devastating consequences of proposed Medicaid cuts by the Trump administration.
As a congressman representing the 18th District of Texas, Turner served on the Homeland Security Committee as well as the Science, Space, and Technology Committee.
We have team coverage for you here today. Leslie Delaspore is in Acres Home, where the congressman grew up. She's talking to community members there. And Jonathan Mejia is at the Church Without Walls, where Turner attended. He spoke to the pastor there as well. And our Greg Rugen in studio getting live reaction from political leaders. But first, Fox 26 morning anchor Lena DeFlorias takes a look back at Sylvester Turner's life and legacy.
Sylvester Turner was a Houstonian since day one. He was born September 27th in 1954 in the Acres Homes community in Northwest Houston, one of 9 children raised in a modest 2-bedroom home. Turner lost his father to cancer when he was just 13 years old. With limited means, he didn't let his circumstances define his future. Turner served as a senior class president and was valedictorian at Klein High School. After high school, Turner attended the University of Houston and then Harvard Law School. He was a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. After first joining the law firm of Fulbright and Jarowski, he later founded Barnes & Turner Law Firm. In 1988, Turner was elected to represent District 139 in the Texas House, where he served for 27 years. He worked on the Houston Appropriations Committee for 21 years and served as Speaker pro tem for 3 terms. In 2015, Sylvester Turner was elected the 62nd mayor of Houston, winning a 2nd term in 2019. During his administration, Turner was challenged with helping the people impacted by Hurricane Harvey and was a crucial factor in the city's rebound from that storm. He launched Houston's first climate action plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and he championed historic pension reform. At the same time, Mayor Turner was embroiled in a years-long contract dispute with the city's firefighters. Mayor Turner also led the city through a tumultuous days following the death of George Floyd. He helped cheer on the World Series Houston Astros and hosted a very successful 51st annual Super Bowl in Houston. Mayor Turner battled bone cancer toward the end of his years in the mayor's office, but in 2024 announced he was cancer-free. Turner's 8-year tenure as mayor ended on January 1 of 2024. After the death of longtime Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, which vacated Texas's 18th congressional district seat, Turner ran to fill it. He won the election and took office just 2 short months ago in January of this year. Turner always said and lived by the motto, quote, "It matters not whether you are a Democrat or Republican, or whether you're black, brown, white, or Asian, whether you're rich or poor or in between, whether you're educated or uneducated. What matters to me is that we are all Houstonians, and we will stand and work for Houston for its future." Sylvester Turner was just 70 years old.
The Turner family did release a statement saying after attending the State of the Union address in Washington, D.C. last evening, Congressman Turner was taken to the hospital and was later released. On Wednesday, March 5th, at approximately 5:45 a.m., he died at his home from enduring health complications. The Turner family is requesting fervent prayers from all who knew and loved him.
Fox 26 political reporter Greg Rugen has covered the career of Sylvester Turner for the past 35 years, from the State House to the City Hall, also in Congress.
Greg, I suspect folks that you've been talking to are obviously just devastated by this news.
That's right, Rashi. While Turner's health issues were well documented, his sudden departure has taken many by surprise at City Hall this morning. A wave of grief swept over members of council and the mayor, many of whom had collaborated with Turner for decades.
So I've lost a personal friend, advisor, and we've lost an outstanding public official. Experience matters, folks. No one will be able to step into Sylvester's shoes and carry on his duties because there's only one Sylvester Turner.
Despite the fact that Congressman Turner served our city under more federally declared disasters in Houston than years he served. Despite whatever came his way, he not only led our city, but united it. And he's not known for those events. He's known for how much we accomplished despite them.
Sylvester Turner was a giant of a man. He was a giant figure. He was a giant politician. He was a giant public official. When he walked in the room, you felt his presence. You felt the shift of attention trend his way. He was a huge influence for many, regardless if you agree with him or not on some of his ideology. You could not deny that he was not only a giant of a man, but he was a huge figure within this city. And to see how he led this city through many challenges as mayor, through the natural disasters, through the winter storms, through the pandemic, he was at the right place at the right time to lead when we needed him most.
He was a leader that didn't look for followers. He was a leader that wanted to make more leaders, and he did that. May he rest in peace.
Many, many more tributes to come for a career of public service, frequently described as extraordinary. Rashi Anthony.
And Greg, I know that many people are saying that he was Houston, he is Houston, he represents all that the city is, and I think that it was said great in the story there where regardless of your political affiliation, you agree with him or not, he's such a bright light and giant in the room.
Look, Sylvester Turner loved this city with every atom of his being, and I think even his opponents knew that. And that's the way he lived his life. That's why he fought so hard for the opportunity to lead the city for the 2 terms that he did.
You know, you've covered a lot of folks when it comes to politics. Kind of speak to what it was like watching him oversee the city through Harvey, oversee the city through other natural disasters like the freeze that we had a couple years ago, and just what that meant to have someone like that leading the way.
I think that Sylvester Turner was known in the state legislature as a gifted collaborator, but at times like that, the strong mayor system in Houston demands just that, a strong mayor, to make the decisions, to lead, and to be someone that everyone can unite around. And I think he did a pretty good job. That'll be part of his legacy, that he did a good job, a solid job, a commendable job getting our city through some very difficult challenges.
Arguably some of the toughest challenges that we've had here in our city. Greg, thank you so much. I was going to ask you, what really stands out for you, because I know you've covered him for so long?
Well, he came in with an almost intractable financial situation with our pensions. And that doesn't sound very glamorous, but he dove right in. He made some enemies during that, but what he did do was get the city on sound financial footing for several years to come. That was tough work. He did it. He made some enemies, but he did it because he felt it was the right thing to do.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for that report. All right, well, Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo, she worked very closely with Mayor Turner through natural disasters, the ITC fire, and the COVID-19 pandemic.
And today she spoke on the passing of the Congressman at Commissioner's Court earlier today.
We'd been working a while after he left office. We stayed in touch. He always supported me. He always came to my defense whenever there were unfair attacks. I supported his campaigns and vice versa. And we would just look for each other wherever we went. It was a familiar face. It was a friend. So I know I'm going to be looking for him next time I'm in a public event. And I just know that's what's going to happen.
Governor Greg Abbott released a statement here today saying that he and his wife are saddened to hear that Turner has passed. He says, quote, Congressman Turner leaves behind a legacy of service to our great state. He will be missed, and our prayers go out to his family and loved ones during this time of grief, end quote.
Congressman Sylvester Turner was a man of faith. For over 3 decades, he was a member of the Church Without Walls congregation. And Fox 26's Jonathan Mejia spoke with the lead pastor about Turner's lasting legacy. He joins us live now. Jonathan.
Yeah, the Church Without Walls has existed for 38 years, and I'm told that Turner was a member for 36 of those years. I spoke with the lead pastor here. He tells me that Sylvester Turner was the perfect example of what a servant leader should look like.
They, in particular, enjoyed knowing the state representative, the mayor, and the congressman, and he knowing them. If I had to describe him, you know, Micah, the prophet, 6:8, talks about that we're to do justly. And so justice was very much part of his vision for the city of Houston, for his district, but also for the nation, that he genuinely cared for people, and then to show mercy.
Coming up tonight on Fox 26 News at 5, I'll tell you the qualities the lead pastor here believes whoever fills Turner's shoes should possess if they take District 18. Reporting live here in Northwest Houston, Jonathan Mejia, Fox 26 News.
Former Mayor and Congressman Turner grew up in Acres Homes.
That's right. He was very proud to be from Acres Home. And that is where we find Fox 26's Leslie Delaspore live with State Representative Jarvis Jones.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So as you mentioned, Acres Homes was raised Sylvester Turner. A lot of people in this area called him Acres Homes' son. Actually, behind me here, we're standing in front of Sylvester Turner Park, which is a park that he was pivotal in bringing the Urban Youth Academy to the Acres Home community so that so many kids can have a safe place to play here in this community. But again, here I'm with former State Representative Jarvis Johnson. You know, Mr. Johnson, you've had some big shoes to fill, and you told me a joke earlier. Tell us that joke and what that was like for you to fill those shoes.
Well, you know, obviously the Honorable Sylvester Turner served District 139 for 26 years, and he obviously left an indelible mark not only on the Capitol but here in our own community. And so people would always say, you got some really big shoes to fill. But I would always tell everybody I wear a size 14, he wears a size 9. But I was always very confident because Sylvester would give me an opportunity. He mentored me. We had a chance to work together when I was on city council and he was a state representative, and then he became the mayor and I was the state. And so we had an opportunity of working together. And so we had a bond and a connection that offered me an opportunity to hit the ground running. And so I certainly appreciate his mentorship. I certainly appreciate what he has done for this city and certainly what he has done for this state and this country.
Are there any fond memories or stories that you want to share with our audience, whether it was in work or outside of work?
It's a lot of fond memories. Number one, we were born on the same day, so we share a birthday, September 27th, and we'd always rib each other about that, and he'd always tell me he was the better looking of me, of us, and I would tell him, yeah, we were born on the same day, but just different decades. So we would always have fun, but we had a lot of, we fought together on a lot of issues. Number one, stopping batch plants, concrete batch plants here in the Acres Homes community, working to build a better infrastructure, trying to keep hot sheet motels out of our community. The list goes on and on. So there were a lot of things that we worked together on that built our relationship, our work relationship, and afforded us to build a better community.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And again, we appreciate hearing from you. And at 5 and 6 today, we'll hear more of former State Representative Jarvis Johnson's accounts and memories with the Honorable late Congressman Sylvester Turner. Anthony Rashi, back to you.
Leslie, thank you. And now in studio, we are joined by Giles Kibbe, the Senior Vice President and General Counsel for the Houston Astros.
And I understand you worked very closely with Congressman Turner. And what role did he have in helping save the Texas Children's Houston Open?
He was instrumental. You know, it was Jim Crane's vision to move the Houston Open down to the center of the city. It was important to the mayor to do that. The PGA Tour was leaving Houston. They were moving the tournament to off of the schedule. There was not going to be another Houston Open. Both Mayor Turner and Jim Crane wanted to fight to save the Houston Open, and to do that, we needed to move the tournament into the city, into the center of the city, into the city's iconic park, Memorial Park. And we put $34 million into that facility to make this happen. So it was important to Mayor Turner that we not only improve the golf course and save the Houston Open, but also do some things to help everyday average citizen here in Houston, both through low green fees, which he maintained throughout his tenure, and as well as building a First Tee Center for underprivileged kids at Memorial Park. It was a big focus of his. We saw earlier Sylvester Turner Park and the Urban Youth Academy. So he's worked closely with the Astros and with Jim Crane in helping underprivileged kids, and that was a main focus of his.
Yeah, I would imagine the word you used there, you said there was a fight. He fought to make that happen, right? There was a fight to make that happen. Just kind of talk about the importance of having someone of that stature and being a mayor of a city like Houston, and how important it is to have that partnership to make something like that happen, because I would imagine it wasn't easy to get done.
It was not easy. And you look back at it now and you think, well, sure, you put $34 million into a city park and you bring the Houston Open there. It sounds like an easy decision, but there were a lot of issues that we had to go through. It was tough. We needed the mayor's support, and he was a strong proponent of what we were doing and helped us get there. Not only was it important in getting it done, but after we got it done, he wanted to make sure that that golf course was maintained in PGA Tour conditions for the residents of Houston long after the tournament had passed. So he was very supportive, could not have happened without him.
Talk about how it was working with him, because you had to work with him in many circumstances. I mean, these aren't all where all the chips are falling in the right place. You had to really go and deal with a lot of things. So what was it like, him being right there by your side?
He always recognized that it was important to have a good private and public relationship and projects. And he saw the Astros, the brand and the reach of the Astros, and he knew that it was important to the city, it was important to him, and he wanted to support our initiatives, and we helped him however we could in making the city better. So it was always his focus to make sure that underprivileged kids in this area, city parks in this area, everything having to do with the Astros was something that people could be proud of, and it was a great relationship where he and Jim Crane were able to do a lot of really beneficial things together.
Any final thoughts?
He was an extremely hard worker. I really think about him. He would come out to the Houston Open every year. We'd get in a golf cart, we'd drive around. He would want to visit with as many people as he could. He would want to check on the golf course and make sure that everything was going well. He cared a lot. And you know, I dealt with him on the golf course and some other things relating to the Astros, and he was always there for us in support, and he was always very proud of what the Astros were doing, and it's a big loss.
We appreciate your time. Thank you for coming in.
Sure.
And as tributes continue to pour in for former mayor and U.S. Congressman Sylvester Turner, our special coverage continues. You see here in studio, Greg Rugen is standing by with community activist Tamara Bell, and that interview coming up next.
I know that he was fighting very hard, and just to look at him, he looked healthy. But you just never know what's lurking in your bodies. I don't care whether it's cancer or just the fact that you get called home for whatever. It could be natural causes. But I'm so blessed to have served with him. He was a person who had the common touch. I think that's so important. You can be elected, but if you have distanced yourself from the people that you serve, then I don't think that you're effective. And he never distanced himself. He lived in the community that he served. He was someone that you could talk to. And now I used to text him because, you know, he could really talk. And so you want to get your point in, right? And so I say, well, I'll make you read. Okay, 1, 2, 3, read. And so I would send him these texts, and he would respond. I don't care what time of the day or night, he would respond. And even if we disagreed, which was very, very unusual, at the end of the day, we could always share a laugh. And my last time that I saw him was about a week and a half ago. I mentioned to him after leaving a meeting that a friend had a stroke and that she was not far. And he said, I'm going to go see her today. He actually got there before me. And just my personal experience, my brother was terminally ill, and I was having trouble getting him into a medical facility, and he helped us to give my brother quality of life. And so I just have such fond memories of, I call him Mayor Kong, that, it's just, I can't even express how much he'll be missed. Marie Flickinger is someone that I dearly loved. And so he had an example, and I believe that Mayor Turner followed really well with the legacy that he was exposed to in being raised by such a wonderful woman.
Our special coverage continues remembering and honoring former Houston Mayor and Congressman Sylvester Turner.
Greg Rugen joining us now in studio live with Tamara Bell, a longtime community activist and friend of Sylvester Turner.
Hey guys, in this town, you know you have stroke when people answer your calls. And Sylvester Turner, Mayor Sylvester Turner, Congressman Sylvester Turner, always answered the calls of longtime super neighborhood leader Tamara Bell, especially during a crisis.
Yes, I'm going back to the tax day flood, when we had the tax day flood, when we had the Memorial Day flood, and I mean, all of those floods happened back to back, and then Harvey came with insurmountable rain. People were calling me who needed to be rescued, asking me to help them. The mayor would pick up the phone and send a boat to go rescue people when I would call him. When they were in a crisis at the George R. Brown, because all those people would come down there and those poor babies were just as lost, he was like, I need the Children's Museum. I need the Children's Museum. He called Tammy Kahn. My daughter worked at the Children's Museum. I was like, baby, y'all get over there, go help them. When we had the freeze, when we had the freeze, and I was like, these people, they have nowhere to go. Tomorrow I'm working it out, I'm gonna get it done. I was like, please, I was like, they're gonna die. I didn't have power. I had to go somewhere. Some people had nowhere. He was like, I'm on it. I mean, he loved the people, his care and his genuine concern, especially for the fofo. Okay, not Acres Home, the fofo, get it right. He loved his people in the fofo. He would have his annual program in the summer, and he would have the jobs for the students. I mean, he was so adamant that you bring yourself up. He would look at those children and he would say, I was just like you. I was just like you. That's why he didn't leave Acres Home, because he wanted the children to see that they could come up and they could be and succeed, and they didn't have to live in their environment and not change their environment. And that's what I so admired about him. And then in Fifth Ward, they had the creosote issue, and it was rising up. Kathy Buford Daniels had brought that up years ago and decades ago, and he worked with Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee on streets like Amboy, Wayne, Kirk, those streets, and the old creosote processing logs on Cashmere Street. He was adamant on staying with that. Even when he got in Congress, he continued that fight, which means so much to them. And let me tell you, as a best friend of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, you had to be friends with Sylvester Turner. That was a non-starter, because they were thick as thieves. They were close for decades. And so I was so proud of him in taking over her seat and how he fought to get that seat. And I mean it, he did such a wonderful job. And it just breaks my heart that, you know, that he's gone. I mean, that he is gone so suddenly. I saw him last night. I knew that he was at the State of the Union. And to wake up this morning with this news has been just devastating for the community. And you know, when you lose giants, and he was a giant, I mean, when you lose giants like that, it is very, very challenging to get somebody who has a true heart for the people. Somebody who really cares about the people, not about themselves, trying to look good on TV or any of that, but care about the people and have been involved in the work with the people for decades. Getting people like that is so difficult. So I'm just really at a loss. And the love of his life, Ashley, baby, I'm hugging you from afar. You and his first grandbaby that you blessed him with. I am hugging you from afar. I know how much you meant to your father, and I know how much your father meant to you. So I'm telling you, my prayers go out to you and your family right now at this moment, and to Houston, because he was a giant and he loved Houston, Texas.
I remember those many moments of crisis. I know how you gathered up tens of thousands of masks to get out to folks in need. Did the mayor help you in that effort or in other efforts during the pandemic?
Absolutely. I applied for a grant that I did not in any way think I would win for 150,000 masks. When the post office called me and threatened me if I didn't come get all these boxes out the way, I was like, I don't have no boxes. What are you talking about? They said, you have boxes from the Health and Human Services of the federal government. I had to call Sylvester. I need help. I got masks. He said, you got masks? I said, I got 150,000. So he would send me. I like, tell me what church. He gave me names out in Acres Home, out in Sunnyside, in Trinity Gardens, even in River Oaks at the church by La Bar. He had me take them everywhere tomorrow. Everybody needed them. He helped me distribute those masks so that I make sure I would go by the homeless and throw them masks and make sure they got masks. He was like, you over? I said, I'm over there throwing masks at the homeless. I mean, he was like, girl, look, I can always count on you. So, I mean, he's really, I'm telling you, he is truly going to be missed, just truly missed.
Tamara Bell, thank you for what you do. Back to you guys.
All right, great. Thank you. And we are now joined by Amanda Edwards.
And she served on Houston City Council during Mayor Turner's term. And Amanda, politics aside, you have so many similarities in the path that Mayor Turner also took.
Absolutely. You know, as you've mentioned before, he came from Acres Homes area, and I know because I'm from the area as well that the community was so proud of him to be able to say we've got a mayor in office who's in the community, from the community, and cares about the community. And so that was one of the pieces that I think he was also very proud of in terms of a legacy. I think also, you know, him having gone through his educational experience. I went to Harvard Law, he went to Harvard Law, but he never led with his resume. He led with how he treated people. He led by his connection with people and his ability to unify people. And so someone who served our city as mayor and was able to unify so many different constituencies during difficult times. You know, we've talked about or have heard a discussion about the number of storms he encountered and the response that was required. And again, you've got to be able to connect with people to do that work correctly and right, and he did. He was also able to lead an effort that really required bipartisan collaboration in terms of the pension reform efforts. It was not a light task, and I could not think of anyone better suited to take on a role that had to unify these different constituencies to come up with a plan that could help keep our city in a financially solvent position. Finally, I would say he was very, very passionate about community, so much so that he had his signature complete communities efforts, and he just really loved being a part of the community, being among the people, not, you know, being a leader from a perch someplace else. It was something that he definitely took personally and loved, and you could feel that love from him as someone who worked alongside him, but also just someone who was a proud Houstonian.
I'll be remiss if I didn't have to also touch on that. Here we are losing Mayor Turner. A short time ago, we lost Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. For the community of Houston, two giants in our community. What can you say to folks at home that may be, you know, reeling or just really sad, because those are two figures that have been a very important role and played an important role in our city. What would be your words of encouragement here to them today?
Absolutely. As you celebrate their lives, also recognize the work that they would love to see continued. And I think, you know, us thinking about this as being a part of a journey that we're all on together means that we have to help do that work. And so there's unfinished business work that was, you know, being done that didn't get completed. Go help with that. Be a part of that effort. I think they deeply cared about, both of them were giants in our community, and I obviously had gotten the chance to work with both of them and know firsthand how tirelessly they worked. It didn't stop at 5 o'clock. Trust me when I say that, both about the Congresswoman but also about Congressman Turner as well. These are people who, you know, were in line with their purpose and their mission and their passion, and continue to do the work no matter what time of day, no matter what was being asked. And so having that type of energy towards community, I think, is something that they would want to see. And so when we think about how you celebrate a legacy, you think about those memories, but then you think about how do you do what they would have wanted, and with respect to the work in the community that still is yet to be done. As you saw, Congressman was literally, you know, doing his work up until he couldn't, and I think that is a testament to how much he loved being a public servant and how much she loved being a public servant. She had a similar story as well.
Thank you, Amanda, for sharing your thoughts and being here with us today.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
think actually the intervening years, his experience in the legislature actually made him a better mayor when he finally was elected in 2015 for the first of his 2 terms. And so he just wanted this so bad. And you know, Mark Twain has a saying that said the 2 most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. He wanted to be mayor. I found out I wanted to help him. That's why I was born, was to help Sylvester Turner become mayor. So the first thing he did, and first thing he said he was going to do, was to fix the pension system. And he did that. He worked with the legislature and he fixed the pension system. The many things that he did were things that he had championed all his life. And then of course, when we had, you know, he had the bad luck of having a lot of weather disasters, especially in his first term, and that was Hurricane Harvey was the biggest one. And yet he was the one comforting people. He was the one at the George R. Brown hugging people. He's the one who said, we're going to open the George R. Brown. We're going to put people there. I don't care, you know, what. And he was there and he was consoler in chief, I guess. And that as his personality, that was his personality. And I'm not sure any, you know, a lot of other politicians could not have done that. He always cared about young people and building them up and giving them experience. And he had youth advisory councils and he had the Higher Houston Youth Program that was started before him, but he really expanded it to make sure that young people had jobs in the summer. So he very much wanted to bring the next generation up. He did love this city, and it was his goal in life to be mayor because he knew he could do good, and that was what he wanted to do. He wanted to be in a position where he could make people's lives better. People laugh sometimes when he said this, but you know, he always quoted his mother as saying, tomorrow will be better than today. And he really, truly believed that. He was the most optimistic person I've ever known. And so he knew that if he just kept trying, if he kept working at it, if he kept doing things, tomorrow will be better than today. And I think that he made Houston's tomorrow better.
What a great person Mayor Turner is, and a great person, Sue Davis, to talk about him and his legacy. And one thing that stood out is that she keeps saying how much he cared. And really, I mean, Sue Davis is a great person to show how much he did care about the community.
Look, Sue Davis, I have immense respect for, you know, as a human being. And she was as loyal and as productive and as inspiring a collaborator as Sylvester Turner could have asked for. And she was frequently in the background, but she did a lot of important work getting his message to the people that mattered to him. And it was all about the mission. The mission was get in position to do good for other people. And so it was a no-brainer for me. I said, if we're going to talk about Sylvester Turner, I want to talk to Sue Davis. Yeah.
And you also got a chance today to talk to Congressman Al Green, who also worked closely with him over the years.
Yeah, and they came up together politically and had built a bond together and had something of a reunion on the floors of Congress. And last night, they were together.
I received a call this morning, and I will tell you the person that called me was in tears. And when I was told that he had made his transition, Sylvester Turner, Representative Turner, former Mayor Turner, I fell to my knees. I couldn't believe it. He and I were on the floor together last night. He appeared to be okay, but I've known him since my very early days in politics. We were neophytes together in politics. And as neophytes, we collaborated and we learned a lot from each other. He did become mayor of the city and we worked together. He pointed out projects that needed attention, and we were able to, through the community project funding, have monies come into the city for the projects. He was always a good steward of the dollars that we sent to him for these projects. I can only say kind things about him. It was a no-brainer for me to see him coming to Congress because there was still work that he could do, work that he, in my opinion, should do, and he did his job well. He reminded us that once a job is begun, do not stop until it's done. Be it large or be it small, do it well or not at all. He did his job well. So I'm very proud to have known him. I will miss him. He has made a difference in the lives of people, and he made a difference in my life.
Wow. And it's not even been, 24 hours. It's hard to even process that this has actually happened.
Yeah, and the tributes are going to keep coming in because there was a lot there to be thankful for. And while there are those who had differences in terms of policy and in terms of style with the mayor, no one ever doubted his love for the city and his willingness to serve. I mean, let's think about it. He had severe health issues, a challenge. He may have chosen to just back away from public service and be a full-time granddad.
Yeah, and he loves
and
his
yet,
grandchild.
for the 18th district, he saw his leadership, his connections, his relationships as that bridge to, I guess, prosperity out in the 18th district.
All right, Greg, thank you so much. We're leaning on your perspective as we continue to honor Sylvester Turner. Still to come here today, though, former Fox 26 sports director Mark Berman. He was really close friends with Sylvester Turner, and he's going to share some very heartfelt stories coming up.
He and Rodney Ellis were the two that spoke at the party that when I won my primary. It was surreal then, and it's just devastating now. I think about Ashley. I think about all the conversations we had about his young grandbaby and how excited he's been about that for the last year. But we lost a true servant leader today, and the entire city, state, and country should be in mourning. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if he was sick, if he was feeling bad, if he was feeling great. He was always just the energy in the room was palpable. He He was such a special, amazing man. I'm kind of at a loss for words.
Fox 26 and Houston sports reporting icon, Mark Berman, more importantly, my good friend, thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
Hey, look, when you talk about history...
I don't like that icon stuff, but okay.
I'm going to get back to my question, which is, when you talk about having deep history with someone, you go back a long way with former Mayor, Congressman Sylvester Turner, who we just lost. Tell me about where you guys first became friends.
Well, let me tell you right off the bat, when I first heard the news, it takes a while sometimes for things to hit you when you've been in this business for so long. I walked in here and see his pictures, and it's kind of a kick in the gut, okay? But we met because we went to University of Houston together. I believe it was my freshman year, 74, 75. And he lived in Moody Towers with me. He was about 4 or 5 doors down from me on the second floor. And my memory's terrible, but what I remember about him, that's when we first met, okay? What I remember about him is that he just never changed. He was the same guy, you know, more successful, you know, and all that stuff, but he was the same guy I knew in college. But we kept in touch a little bit over the years. But going back a little further, I'd been out at UH a couple years and I was working at Kick Radio before I came to Fox. And you remember in the old days, you called information for a phone number, and the operator comes on and says, "Operator," and I told him what I wanted. He goes, "Hey, Hempstead, what's up?" Well, when I was in college my first year, I was homesick, so I went home to Hempstead, Texas. You know, every weekend, so my nickname was Hempstead. And I'm like, "Who the heck is this?" He goes, "It's Sly." I go, "Sly who?" He goes, "Mark, it's Sylvester Turner." Sylvester was working as an operator for the telephone company. Oh, you got to be kidding me, okay? I mean, I'm still amazed by that story. That's how far he's come, Greg. Think about that for a second. Anyway, we kept in touch over the years, and then when he became mayor, my phone number for him was no longer any good, so I called one of his staffers. He calls back. I said, "What do I call you? Do I call you Mayor, Sylvester, Sly, Mr. Turner?" He goes, "Anything you want." To me, that was Sylvester Turner.
You had many interactions with him with the incredible sports news we have here in Houston, whether it was Super Bowls, the Astros playoffs runs. Give us a sense of talking to him, seeing him, knowing that you had this history and the qualities you like best about him.
Well, it was really cheating for me because he gave me so much access because I knew him so well. Okay, I got away with murder. When he had things going on, he'd get me over there, make sure I was where I needed to be. He would holler at me at press conferences, which was a little awkward, but sometimes I got a kick out of it. But what I remember about Sylvester is he really cared about this city, and he cared about the community, and he really cared about sports. People may not realize this, but you know, the Houston Open Golf Tournament may not be here if not for him. I mean, the Astros and Jim Crane saved the tournament, but they had to work with Sylvester and the city of Houston to make this all work, to move to Memorial Park and all that. So without Jim Crane and Giles Kibbe, his lawyer, maybe it's not here. Without Sylvester, maybe it's not here. He played such a big role in that one event, which is a monstrous event for our city, right? But you know, his love for University of Houston was crazy good, right? And he cared about the Texans and the Astros, the baseball team, and you know, the Rockets. He cared about everything. And so to me, he was Houston.
I can't imagine a greater tribute. When you go back to those days in college, did you have any idea that great things were ahead for this guy?
Well, of course not. Who has a clue, right? And when he was working his way through his political career, I didn't know where he was headed. I just didn't think about that kind of stuff. I went to college with the guy. You know, I knew he was really smart. Didn't he go to Harvard Law? I mean, you don't just do that by accident. But when he became mayor, I was thrilled because I knew him. I knew him before he was Sylvester Turner. He was just Sly to me.
One thing that no one can deny about Sylvester Turner is his love for this city. Everybody's got lots of opinions, you know, on political issues, but no one questions that. Is that a fundamental quality that anybody who takes that job on has to have?
Oh yeah, I don't think you learn it. It's in your DNA, if that's what you're driving at. I mean, maybe you could make it better, but I mean, he just got it. He really did. And I really thought, Greg, that he was going to go on to some bigger and better things. I used to bust his chops about it a lot. What's next? governor. That's what I thought. Then when he filled that seat going into Congress, I thought, here we go. Here's the next step. But, you know, for this to happen, I mean, it's a cliche, but this man's life was cut way short. But I mean, he left one heck of a legacy.
I know how tight you are with your grandson, Jackson. If he asked you about this, what would you tell him about Sylvester Turner?
Well, I don't know, but I can tell you this right now. When they honored me and Jonathan Martin and Jose Grignon at City Council, the mayor was up there talking, and he goes, and my good friend Jackson, and he pointed at him. And my daughter Jessica, who works here, of course, and is the reason I'm here to do this thing, because she asked me to. She's got that video, and we have it here. I mean, it was. I don't know what I would tell him. He's only 12 years old, and he's met the mayor a couple times. He's got pictures with him, and very fond of him. So, I mean, I think it's going to be hard for my daughter to tell him what happened if he hasn't already seen it on his phone, because everything's everywhere, right?
The personal touch, Sylvester Turner had it.
Oh, goodness Lord, are you kidding me? He was unbelievable. I mean, he treated everybody in a very great fashion, and I think he was one heck of a mayor. And I think he's got. I know they got a new guy now and everything. He still has some big shoes to fill.
Mark Berman, always a pleasure and an honor to hang out with you.
And Congressman Turner was just the most recent dedicated public servant to represent the 18th Congressional District.
Fox 26's DeLon Dillard highlights those whose legacies were in part defined by their fight for the people of that district.
Established in 1972, Texas's 18th Congressional District, which covers much of Houston, has been represented by 4 Democrats, and each left a significant mark on its history. First, we have Barbara Jordan,
given the ingredients,
a trailblazer who became the first black woman from the South elected to the U.S. House of Representatives.
Our deafness was only a temporary condition.
Taking office in 1973, Jordan was known for her eloquent and moral integrity, most famously displayed during the Watergate hearings. In Houston, she championed improvements in urban conditions and education, advocating for federal funding to enhance Houston's public schools. Jordan also worked tirelessly to expand affordable housing and played a pivotal role in the passage of the Community Reinvestment Act, which benefited underserved communities.
If you can think it, if you can dream it, then eventually you can have it.
Following Jordan, Mickey Leland took office in 1979, bringing a passionate focus on health care and poverty alleviation to the Houston area. Leland was a key advocate for improving access to medical care, particularly for the underprivileged, and helped secure federal resources for community health care in Houston.
Growing number of poor and hungry Americans.
His dedication to addressing hunger led to the establishment of the Congressional Hunger Center and numerous local initiatives that provided food and support to the thousands of Houston residents. Former Texas State Senator Craig Washington was elected in 1989 to fill the vacancy left by the death of Mickey Leland. Washington proved to be a staunch supporter of civil rights and the rights of criminal defendants. He also continued his predecessor's focus on world hunger. And Washington's legal background won him appointments to the Judiciary Committee and the Committee on Education and Labor.
There are absolutely no...
Since 1995, Sheila Jackson Lee represented the district, bringing a strong voice for local and national issues. Known for her activism and advocacy, Jackson Lee was a staunch supporter of disaster preparedness and response, crucial for a city like Houston,
people were hurting all over,
prone to hurricanes and flooding. She was instrumental in securing federal funding for flood control projects and infrastructure improvements. Additionally, Jackson Lee was a champion for Houston's cultural and economic development, supporting initiatives to revitalize downtown and bolster small business. Her work in education, public safety, and healthcare access significantly benefited the people of Houston and made her a prominent figure in Congress. Jackson Lee was a driving force behind the establishment of Juneteenth as a national holiday, tirelessly advocating for its recognition to honor the end of slavery in the U.S.
Congressman from the 18th Congressional District, the Honorable Sylvester Turner.
Then in 2025, Sylvester Turner, longtime public servant, took the oath of office, to represent the 18th District. While his work in Congress was just getting started at the time of his death, the former Houston mayor and Texas state lawmaker was a champion of Medicaid because his parents never had health care, and he experienced firsthand losing his father to cancer. And he was eager to fight for better economic opportunities for all of those in the 18th District. The legacy of those congressional leaders reflect their deep commitment to serving the Houston community and advocating for justice, equality, and prosperity.
Well, Fox Local is where you can go to watch extensive coverage of Congressman Sylvester Turner's life and legacy. Hear from those who knew him best, react to his life and unfortunate passing. And you can even watch the former mayor perform a little stand-up. That's on Fox Local for your phone and also your smart TV.
Thank you so much for watching our special coverage here honoring former Houston Mayor and Congressman Sylvester Turner. I'm Anthony Antoine.
I'm Rashi Vatz.
And I'm Greg Grugan. Have a good afternoon.